Welcome to A Beer with Brad, Episode 1, the first episode in a new series I'm starting where I'm going to discuss different photography topics and questions. Um, my goal right now is to have one each month, but we'll see how it goes. I got the first 3 or 4, maybe even 5 months already planned out, so hopefully I can get off to a good running start and then keep it going from there. I've always wanted to write a blog that kind of goes along with the photography, and I'm not a writer, I'm not good at it, and it was hard coming up with ideas, and then a lot of times passed, and I started thinking, maybe I should just do it as a video. I can talk better than I can write. And there's a really talented photographer named Horne that does kind of a occasional. It used to be weekly, but they've kind of I would call it occasional now. Just kind of a quick 10-minute or so video about something photography related, and I always got a kick out of those videos. Always enjoyed them. They're really well thought out, and thought, maybe I should do something like that and put my own spin on it. And then a photographer named Nick Carver has a series that I would also call it occasional, maybe monthly, Behind the Glass with the Glass, where he has a beverage and discusses some of the photography. And I thought, you know what, I really like craft beer. I'm a big craft beer fan. A lot of times when I'm out on photography trips or on vacations, I'll stop by different breweries, try out different craft beers. So I thought, why not just have a beer while I do this? And then, my name's Brad, so Beer with Brad kind of went together. So that's how I came up with Beer with Brad. So episode 1 of what hopes to be many more to come. The first 3 episodes are just going to be answering 3 questions that I get all the time. I do outdoor art fairs in the summertime, and there's 3 questions that I get them more than any other question. First one that I'm going to do today is, how did you get into photography? I get that question a lot. People are really interested. The second episode is going to be, what camera do you use? So what's in the camera bag? The number one question I get at every single art fair always is, what camera do you use? Or some kind of spin on it like, hey, you must have a really nice camera. So that'll be episode 2. And then episode 3 will be, is that Photoshopped? Which I don't know why that question comes up so much, but I'm going to put my spin on that and tell you what I think about where that question's coming from. And I don't think it's just, do you use Photoshop to crop your photos down? I think they're getting to a bigger picture there. So that's episode 3. To start off today, I picked one of my favorite breweries, Scratchtown Brewing Company in Ord, Nebraska. This is the Lord of Ord Imperial Oatmeal Stout. Ord, Nebraska is about 3 hours from Omaha, up in the Nebraska Sandhills. I like the brewery. I like the location. The guys that run it are great. Caleb and Mike, super cool dudes to talk to. And if you're into photography, go to Scratchtown. You will pass through some of the best scenery in Nebraska on the way there. And this Scratchtown could also be one stop on like a 3-day photography brewery tour. You could go up to Scratchtown, leave Scratchtown, go over to Taylor, Nebraska, just north of Taylor. Why am I drawing a blank on it? Bootleg Brewing. And then from there you can go over to Broken Bow and hit Kincaider, and then on up to Valentine and hit Bolo Brewing. 3 or 4 fantastic breweries, and you will drive through some of the best parts of Nebraska to photograph. So Omaha to Ord to Taylor to Broken Bow to Valentine. Beautiful scenery, great breweries. So today, Scratchtown, Lord of Ord, Imperial Oatmeal Stout. Yeah. So I get asked all the time how I got into photography. And it is kind of by accident, really. When I was going to my senior year at Westside, I needed another class, and I had taken every art and architecture class, everything from art history, drawing and painting, sculpture, architecture, architectural drafting, design, graphic design. I had literally taken pretty much every class at Westside that you could that was art and architecture related. And so it was either that or pottery, and I guess I picked photography and came in the class. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew you had your camera and you put some film in there and you went out and took pictures and then you printed them. And it started out, you kind of learned the basics of the camera, learned the basics of loading film, went in the darkroom. But that first time you go out and take pictures, you're like, oh, this is kind of fun. Went downtown, walked around, took some pictures of some buildings, some bricks, just different, first timer photography, trying to be artsy type stuff. And then we went back to school and we processed our film, which was kind of interesting. You put your film in a changing bag so the light's not getting in there, and you roll it on a spool and you put it in the developer container and you pour your chemicals in and you shake it and run through the whole process, and you pull your film out and you have a 3 foot long stretch of film, has all your pictures in there in reverse because they're negatives. And like, oh, that's pretty neat, it's kind of cool. I remember taking those pictures. So then you cut them in the strips, 4 pictures on each strip, and then you go in the darkroom and you put your picture in the enlarger and you expose your sheet of film, and then you take your sheet of film and you put it in the developer, and right before your eyes you see your picture just kind of start to appear from a white sheet of paper. It gets a little darker and a little darker and a little darker until you have your picture. I mean, you run it through the stop bath and the fixer, and you rinse it and squeegee it off, and you go out and you have a tangible picture to hold in your hand. And I just thought it was the coolest process, and it really got me hooked, and I had a lot of fun. And there was just something about, you're in the dark room, you got the music going, and just making pictures, and it's like, I don't know, I'm a very hands-on person, so the whole process was, I had a blast doing it. So graduated Westside, and I decided I was going to keep going, learning more about photography. So I went to Metro Community College here in Omaha and started into their photography program, where we started off on the 35 millimeter camera, just like we were using at Westside, and then went into medium format, and then on into large format film, and then kind of got into photojournalism. And as the coursework went on, it went from less and less of getting out and exploring and finding pictures to more studio work. And the studio stuff and the photojournalism, I think it was the photojournalism that kind of put me over the edge, where I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. And it made sense because really, most of the photography jobs are in at that time we're in the media or doing senior portraits or family portraits. So that's really, where the most people get the most jobs. And I didn't want to do that. That was not the part of it that interests me. So I changed, and instead of going to school for photography, I went for architectural drafting. And when I was almost done with that, I applied for a job at a local engineering firm called E&A Consulting Group, and here it is almost 16 years later, and I'm still there. It's been a great career. It's a great company. I just work with some of the best people, and I get to do some photography there on the side too, which I really enjoy. So my main job is drafting on a computer-aided drafting, AutoCAD, and then on the side I do pictures of our job sites, and if they twist my arm hard enough, I'll take pictures of people, but that's not really what I'm interested in. I love getting out to the construction sites and take pictures. So when I first started there, I was still not into photography. I stopped going to Metro for photography in 1998 about, and in between, I should say, I also worked some jobs, working at bars and restaurants, just having fun, being a 20-year-old. And when I started at E&A, about 6 months after I started, so I started in 2015, 2005. In early 2006, I bought a digital camera, and I just kind of rediscovered the love of photography almost immediately. Like, it just came back. I just had this passion for it. And, first thing I did, I think I bought the camera on a Saturday, and it snowed Saturday night or Sunday, and I was out running around downtown taking pictures in the snow. And ever since then, I've just been going and going and going, doing the photography on my terms, doing the type of pictures I want to do. So landscapes, cityscapes, aerial photos, do some sports, and just I love the adventure of it. I love getting out. In 2007, I went on my first helicopter ride. My buddy Josh Warner from Landscapes Limited, he talked me into doing a helicopter ride. We both did one. We each got a half hour, and we flew around Omaha and did some aerial photos. And I've done it every year since then, at least once a year. I just did one a few days ago, probably, I don't know, the 20th, 25th time I've been up in the helicopter. Just, it's so much fun. I always enjoy doing it. 2008, I started doing art fairs. I've done them every year since then, except for 2020. We all know what happened in 2020, so no art fair in 2020. 2008 is also about the same time I started going on photography trips to a dedicated photography trip to a location away from here, whether it be East Coast, West Coast. Always enjoy getting out and doing those trips. It's so relaxing to get away from the daily grind and go somewhere remote, somewhere beautiful, and just soak it all in and take pictures and wander around the adventure. You know, the adventure part of photography is what I really enjoy. I love getting out hiking and exploring and finding locations. The reason I use a helicopter for my aerial photos and not a drone is because I like the adventure of being up in the air, physically seeing the ground, taking pictures. You know, to me, the experience of taking the picture is just as rewarding as getting the actual print. I mean, it's cool when you're done and you get to see the print, you know, hanging on the wall, but the experience is what I really enjoy about it. Speaking of prints, I forgot to mention, this is one of the very first pictures I took my senior year of high school. It was on a 35 millimeter black and white film, and then a few years ago I had that piece of film scanned and printed this out on canvas. I think that's going to wrap up episode 1. Gives you my background. I hope you all enjoyed hearing about it, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I always laughed when people said this, but now here I am. If you do like the video, please like it and subscribe to my channel so you always get notifications when there's more coming. Again, episode 2 will be coming up next month, and that will be what's in the camera bag, the most frequently asked question I get at all the art fairs. So, hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned next month for episode 2. Thank you.